G'day everybody, Nick Dingle here again for the 7th part of our Super Mario Bros. In Construct 2 series. This time around we're going to be attacking the item blocks. We're going to be getting the mushroom block and the coin block out of the way. And we're going to leave the breakable blocks for the next video because they're a little bit fiddly. And I think I'm going to run out of time in this video otherwise. So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get your graphics. So I've made a brand new zip package attached to the description of this video which you can download now. And inside this zip file, you've got two folders, blocks and items. Now, I know we already have an items folder, but this is a brand new file. So, what I'm going to do, here is my Super Mario Bros. Folder. Here is my blocks.zip file. I'm going to go inside my graphics folder. I'm simply going to highlight these folders, and I'm going to drag them into my graphics folder, and that's going to merge the two together. Okay, so you'll see I've added an item block coin, and I've added a blocks folder which has got a fair few graphics in there that we're going to use for this video and the next. Okay, so that aside, that's done. I'm closing them. We're ready to go. So, first things first, we need to make a brand new folder up in our object types to store all of the things we're about to go and create. So I want you to right click on object types, add a subfolder, and call it blocks. Okay. Inside this we're going to store not just blocks but block particles and a couple of extra sprites that you're probably not going to expect. Alright, so let's create our first one right now. I'm just going to go insert a new object. I'm going to select sprite and we're going to call it item block. Okay, so these are the question mark blocks that you know and love that you headbutt, they bounce up and down and they give you an item. So let's add him to the form, and the next thing we're going to do is import the image from our folder. So from sprite strip, let's select item block, go open, make sure it says 3 horizontal and 1 vertical, and we're going to tick this to get rid of the empty frame. Yep. And we're good to go. Okay, so hopefully I didn't do that too quickly. If I did, please pause and we'll get you caught up. So what I'm going to do first of all is these came out of the tile map exactly like this. First of all, they're backwards. So I need to drag this guy here and this guy here so it goes from dark to light. And the second thing I'm going to do is duplicate this last frame twice. Okay? If you've ever played the original Super Mario Bros., you see these guys sort of flash at you, but they actually stay on the brighter stage for a lot longer than they stay on the darker stage. Okay? And this was the easiest way for me to be able to get that effect. Just keep those extra couple of frames at the end there. The next thing I'm going to do, let's set up the animation so there's a couple of extra settings. Speed, tiny bit faster on 6. We're going to make him loop. And we're going to make him ping pong. So looping is obviously going to go from the dark to the light, and then it'll go from dark to light again. What ping pong does is it will go from 0 all the way up to 4, and then it comes back down to 0, and then it'll keep doing that forever because we've got loop yes. Okay. And there you go. So that's set up and ready to go, but we're not done with this guy. We need to add a second animation. Now, this default animation is when the block is just sitting in the level and it's just flashing at the player. There is another animation for these guys. When you headbutt them and an item pops out, or it expels all of its items if there's, multiple coins, then it becomes an inactive item block. Okay, the one that can't be destroyed, can't be headbutted, and doesn't move. So we need to add another animation for that. So right click in the animations panel, click add animation, and quickly name him before you do anything else. Call him inactive. Okay, when you click on him, you get a whole new sheet for your animation. And I'm going to do this the exact same way we imported the default frames. I'm going to right click down here, import frames from a sprite strip. I'm going to select inactive block. Now I know there's only one picture there and it's not really a sprite strip, but I just like to tick that box to get rid of that frame for me. Okay, okay. Alright, so we're pretty good to go. The next bit is going to be a little bit annoying. We need to change the collision of this box, okay? And I'll explain why we're going to change the collision after we do it, because I need to add one more thing to our project before it's easy for me to explain. So, this is the collision box, and it's what you would expect it to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove 1 pixel of collision off the bottom of every single frame in this animation. Inactive can have the full collision, but default we need just 1 pixel off the bottom. So I'm going to click on that guy, shift click on this guy, and I'm going to reduce the Y value by 1. Okay. Now one thing you'll notice if you do that, collision is still the same in the second frame. So I need to right click in the middle and apply to whole animation. Don't do all animations because otherwise inactive is going to receive this collision model as well. Whole animation, and you'll see that there's one pixel missing at the bottom every single one. Alright, so that's almost done. We need to add in a second image point. Okay, again, I'll fully explain this in a moment. I want you to add, I'm going to rename him, and I'm going to call him Hitbox. And you probably can guess already what this guy does. Select down here, it should be at 8 for X, 15 for Y. That's the position of the image point, sorry, the Hitbox image point, 8 and 15. And the same thing with the collision model, we need to apply that to each frame in this entire animation. So I'm going to right click over here, on Hitbox, apply to whole animation. Okay, and just make sure that took place. Yep, that's all good to go. We don't need it in inactive at all. This is all to do with when Mario headbutts it. Okay, this is done. I'm going to close him. He's pretty good to go. The next thing we need to do is set up his behaviors. But before we do, let's just have a look at his animations and see how pretty he looks. Isn't it pretty? Don't know why Mario disappeared. That was a bit weird. Anyway, so that seems to work perfectly fine. I'm going to get rid of the mushroom. He's going to be annoying otherwise. Whoops, I probably shouldn't have deleted him. Yep, I'm going to put him down the bottom. Now, one thing I have never explained in this tutorial series, I have in my other videos, but not in this one, is that if you want to use an object somewhere in your game, and let's say a mushroom for instance, they generally come from blocks, so you don't get one hovering around the level to start with. However, if you want to use one of these items, you actually have to have one that exists at the beginning. Now, what that means is you need at least one that the player can't see or get access to. So I generally just put one down the bottom of the level. If you wanted to, you could delete it when the game started. Alright, I got a bit sidetracked there, but let's get his behaviors set up. So, first of all, I don't like him sitting there. I'm going to drag him into blocks. Let's add the behaviors. There's two of them we're going to add this time around. We are going to add the solid behavior so we can run into him. And secondly, we're going to add the sign behavior. We're going to use this bad boy a lot in the next couple of videos. But what we're going to use this one for, similar to how we did Mario's death. When Mario died, the sign behavior took over. He jumped up and fell down. Okay. But what this sign behavior is going to do is when Mario headbutts the block is going to bounce slightly. Okay. And that's what the sign behavior is going to take care of for us. So there's a fair few settings we have to change just on the sign behavior. First of all, not active on the start. Otherwise, it's going to be bouncing up and down. Vertical movement, so it goes up and down. Period 0.3, so it does it pretty quickly. And -7, so it only moves a little bit, and the minus will make it move up to start with. Okay? So what I want you, if you want to know a bit more about the sign behavior, I'll quickly say that the period is basically how quickly it does its movement, and -7 is how far the movement is in the time period. Okay, so in 0.3 seconds, it's going to do a full movement of -7 pixels. Okay, that's probably a little bit too much information, but there you go. Finish up this guy. We need some instance variables, okay? And these guys are going to be a little bit interesting. We need starting Y, just a number, and leave it at 0. We need item as a number, leave it at 0, and I'm going to add a quick description because this guy is going to dictate excuse me, what items come out of the box. So 0 is going to mean a mushroom, and 1 is going to mean a coin. So if it starts at 0 and you headbutt this block, it's going to be a mushroom / a flower and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to do flowers. I'm going to leave that up to you to do that one. And 1 will be a coin. And finally, we can have an item count, because you can have more than one coin in an item box. So item count's going to take care of that. Alright, so there are our 3 instance variables. We've added him to level 1, so we're actually right to use this guy now, but we need something a little bit extra before we add any code to this guy. By default, if we collide with this box, so in our code we're going to be checking if Mario collides with the item box. However, we need to know that he has collided with the base of the box. Okay? We can't check for that in Construct. There's no way of saying what pixels were collided with. Was it the bottom side? Was it Mario's head? Was Mario jumping when he did this? Things like that. We can't check those things because as soon as Mario headbutts the box, he's collided with the box somewhat. And also, he as soon as he hits a solid object, he's going to stop moving, so he's no longer jumping. But when the code is executed, he's no longer falling either, so he's in between. So it's like he's standing on the ground. He's not moving. Okay, so what we need to check is if he's just hit the bottom edge, and the quickest way for us to do that is to add a second object which follows every single item box, and it sits right on that pixel which doesn't have any collision on the item block. So I'm going to quickly add a new sprite. So right click on blocks, insert a new object, make it a sprite, and I'm going to call him item block hitbox. And this guy's going to take care of that for us. Just click anywhere to add it. First thing we're going to do is resize him. Alright. His width I'm going to set as 14, so he's 2 pixels smaller, 1 pixel on the left and 1 pixel on the right, smaller than our hitbox, and I'll tell you why. Oh, item box, not hitbox. Height, just 2 pixels. Okay, so that's our amazingly complicated sprite. I'm just going to color him in a stupid pink, and the reason I do it stupid pink is because I can easily see if he's on the level, and there he is. So we can easily see that hitbox there. Okay, because I actually don't want to see him later on. Okie dokie. So, let's play the game. So this hitbox here is going to be invisible. It's going to sit at the bottom of the item box. Okay, and when Mario headbutts the underside of the box, what Mario is actually going to be running into is this little hitbox here, and not actually the item block. So we're going to be checking Mario's collision against him, and we're going to be seeing if there's any items in this item box. Okay, and so forth. Now you might be wondering, well, do we have to add a hitbox for every single item box? Well, yes we do, but there's a lovely little thing that Construct does for us. Let's minimize that. We're going to create what's called a container. Okay, and the idea of a container is one object owns another object. Okay, and for every object, or every parent object that's created, a child gets created as well. So, what I mean, let's scroll down in the properties. Click on container and click create, and let's type in hitbox, and there's my item hitbox. And what that's done is it's just said the container, item block, and item block hitbox are together. They're now containing each other. So what that means is if I create 3 item boxes, it's automatically going to generate a hitbox for every single one of them. And the hitbox that's generated is associated to that particular item box. So this hitbox would be this guy, the second hitbox that gets generated would be this guy, and the third one would be this guy. Alright, so Construct does that automatically because we created a container, and that's what we want, because we want every single item block to have its own hitbox. So when Mario hits it, we know which item block was supposed to be hit. Alright, pretty complicated to begin with, but pretty straightforward to get going. Okie dokie. So from that, we've got the container created. Let's start creating some code. Let's right click on the event sheets. Let's add a new event sheet. Call it blocks. And before we do anything, let's go to event sheet 1 and add our event sheet to the main event sheet. Okay. If you need time to catch up, please pause, because we're about to get right into the guts of the coding. So we're going to create a group just for our item block, because there's going to be a bit that goes under this one. And we're going to add our first piece of code. And the first piece of code is going to make this hitbox sit underneath the item block. Now, this is when this hitbox image point is going to come in. Okay? When the game starts, we're going to set the hitbox sprite to the image point of hitbox. So, to quickly do that, click on your item block group, press S to add a sub event. We're going to go to system, we're going to go to start of layout, and the action is going to be for the hitbox, and we're going to set the position to another object. The other object is the item block, and the image point is hitbox. Okay. So, on the starter layout, set the hitbox to the position of the item block. So if I run my layout now, you'll see it's sitting right neatly underneath that. And if I quickly duplicate the couple of item blocks, you'll see they all receive a hitbox just because we made the container. Okay? And that you can see that they're all sitting on their own item block because they're owned by an item block. Okay. Let me delete those. I don't need those extra ones. Okay, and now it's time for the hard part. We need to program this thing so we can detect Mario headbutting the block and start moving it. We're actually not going to worry about item generation. We're just going to move the box. So click on item block, add a sub event. We're going to see if Mario's hit our hitbox. Mario collision with another object, which is the hitbox. Okay, so Mario collides with the hitbox. The second thing we need to check is if there is actually items left inside of the item box. So that comes from the item count. So we're going to check if item count is greater than 0. So click on this, press C for another condition. We're going to go to item block. Now, because every item block hitbox has got its own item block, when Mario hits that hitbox, Construct already knows which item block you're talking about. Okay, because they own each other, which is really, really handy. Okay, we're going to compare an instance variable. We're comparing the item count to see if it's greater than 0. Okay, there it is. Now it's time to add some actions to make this box bounce up and down. Now, it's pretty simple, but it's going to take a fair few steps. The idea is we enable this sign behavior to make it bounce up and down, but the problem with a sign behavior, let's say where my mouse cursor is, that's the starting position of the block. It's going to go up 7 pixels, it's going to go back to the original point, and it's going to go down 7 pixels, and then back up to the original point. And it's actually going to repeat that infinitely, so long as the sign behavior stays enabled. What we actually want is we want it to go up 7, down 7, and pause at that point. We don't want it to go any further than that. So let's start it up. Let's go item block. Let's go active, just so I can show you how this looks. Save that. I'm going to make sure, yep, Mario should be able to hit that, easy. And there it is. It looks dodgy as anything, but what we need to do now is make it go up a little bit, down a little bit, and stop the sign behavior. Problem is, though, is it's going to go up and back down, but it's not going to be quite perfect, and I'll show you that. Let's go to System. We're going to wait for 0.15 seconds. That seemed to be a nice number. There might be a better number. And then we're going to deactivate the sign behavior. Now you can see it's not perfect. It's really dodgy. So what we need to do, that's why we have this starting Y value. What we're going to do is when they hit the block, we're going to figure out what the Y position of the item block is. When the sign behavior is done, we're going to set the item block back to that Y position. Okay? So first of all, let's go to item block. This is going to be the first action, by the way. We're going to set value, starting Y, yep, perfect. And it's going to be self.y. How can we do self.y? Because self just refers to whatever object this action belongs to. So the object is item block. So the item block.y, basically. You're going to be the first thing I do. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is set y back to self.starting y. Straight after the inactive. So back it up, activate it, wait, deactivate it, return. Hope that makes sense. Now you can see it's going up and then down. So we need to do one more thing to fix that up. It's item block and it's the cycle position. Because this, when you stop the sign, I haven't explained this yet. Let me quickly talk about it. Okay. When it starts, the cycle position's at 0. When it's at the top of its peak, it's at 0.25. When it's in the back, in the middle, it's at 0.5. When it's at the bottom, 0.75. And when it finally makes its final destination, it's back at 1. So let's set his cycle position to 0. Not a dot, a 0. Try it again. Wow, that is a bit dodgy. Let's try that again. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. So that is pretty much done. The only thing we need to do now is they're hitting the block. So we need to subtract 1 from the item count value. So let's go to the item block. Subtract from the item count. Okie doke. And the second thing we're going to do is if the item count hits 0, that's when the item block is going to be disabled. So I'm going to add a sub event to number 3, which checks if the item count is to 0. So let's go item block. Okay, compare instance variable. Item count is equal to 0. There you go. If the item count equals 0, then go item block, set animation, inactive. If I can spell. Okie doke. Save. So this is all the animation stuff. This is disabling the block when there's no more items. And because we're subtracting an item here, and what I might do quickly is drag that at the top, sorry. Okay. Now this isn't perfect, I know that. Okay, but it's pretty damn straightforward. Okay, and what I might actually do is put that just there. And that's probably going to solve our problems with the block moving up or down a little bit, because we're backing up the starting position when the game begins, rather than every time Mario headbutts it. Okay, so that should hopefully resolve a few of those problems. Okay, because there was only one item in the box, it's only going to give me one headbutt until it deactivates. So if I up this item count to 3, I should be able to headbutt it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. There you go. And pretty straightforward. Now we actually have to get it generating some items. Okay, so this is actually the hard part, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the mushroom, because he's probably the hardest one. Okay, let's go to items. There's my mushroom. Here's a bit of a problem. We can't use this mushroom because he's got a platform behavior. We have to spawn it behind the block, which is solid, and the mushroom's going to collide with the solid. It's going to go all wacky. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to have a fake mushroom, one that is just a picture. We can't interact with it. It doesn't have a platform behavior, but it's got a sign behavior, which is going to make the mushroom slowly grow out of the block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the mushroom and clone him. And Mr. Mushroom 2 I'm going to rename. So right click, rename. He's going to be fake mushroom, and he's purely going to be used for graphical purposes. Now, as I said, you need one of every object on your level if you want to use it. So I'm going to drag that on, and now I can change the settings of my fake mushroom. So make sure you got fake mushroom selected and not mushroom. First thing first, well, pretty much we only have to do one thing to him. We are going to get rid of platform, and we're going to add sign. Alright, and the settings are pretty straightforward for this guy. We actually do want it active on the start because he's going to grow out of the block as soon as he appears. We're going to set it to vertical. His period is 7, so he's a little bit slower than other things, and the magnitude is -16, so he's going to move 16 pixels. In fact, he's only 16 pixels high, so he's going to grow 1 height. And when you do it, please make sure that your layer is level. Now, I just realized I've been working on the wrong layer for this item block. But anyway, this guy needs to be on layer level because we want him to appear behind the block. Okay? This guy here should be items. This guy should be level. So blocks need to be on the blocks level. And so do the hitboxes. Okay, sorry about that. That's one little stuff up. You get them. Let's actually make this guy invisible. I'm sick of seeing the hitbox now. Visibility, invisible. I'm sick of seeing him. I'm over it. He's back to normal now. Okay, so when we run the game, we won't see the hitbox anymore, but he'll still be there. There you go. Okie dokie, let's go on to the next one. So we're not just going to make mushrooms, we are going to make coins as well. We're not going to duplicate this coin though, because if you've ever played Mario, the original, the coins from boxes and the coins that float around look completely different. So I'm going to create a brand new item. So insert a new object. It's going to be a sprite, and I'm going to call it, just for consistency, fake coin. And insert him. Okay, I'm going to replace his frames with back a folder. Items, item block coin. Now I know it's not called fake coin, but yeah, make sure it's 4 and 1 because there's 4 frames in this guy. Tick the box. Okay, okay. There's actually nothing we have to do to this guy. He's right to go. That's it. We're going to just quickly change his animation speed. And his animation speed, we'll just click on default, make sure we got the settings here. It's going to be 12, and loop will be set to yes. Okay. So, that aside, let's close this guy here. We have to add a sign behavior to him. So, behaviors, add, sign. Close that, and the settings are going to be active on start, yes. I'm going to move him down here quickly. Vertical movement, period 0.8 because he's pretty quick. His magnitude -42. Now, just like everything else, this may not be the best settings for it. Please try and find your own ones if you want. Okay. Layout, make sure it's level. And we're ready to go. We're going to start coding this. So when we headbutt the block, we have to check what the item value is. If it's a 0, we're going to spawn a mushroom. Okay, if it's a 1, we're going to spawn a coin. And then we add 1 to Mario's coin count. So we'll do this all under blocks. We're going to create a brand new group. And this is going to be called item block functions, just like we did with Mario. And we're going to do something a little bit different this time around when it comes to functions. We're going to talk about something called parameters. Okay. Before, when we did functions in Mario, all we did was grow, hit, and do other things. Now, we can actually send data to functions to control the way those functions behave. So before we talk about this too much, let's create a sub event. So click on 5, click S, type in function. You want the on function event, and we're going to call it create item, just like so. What I'm going to do is quickly add a sub event. Now we're going to use the parameter. Now the first thing that we're going to send to the create item function is which item we want created. Okay, so if we send it a 0, it's going to create a mushroom. If we send it a 1, it's going to create a coin. Okay, so I want you to click on 6. I want you to create a sub event. We're going to go to function, and we're going to compare parameter. And the way parameters work is you get indexes or indices when it comes to a parameter. The first value you send it is 0. The second value you send a function is 1. Third value, 2, and so forth. Okay? So what I want to do, I want to check if the first thing that we sent is 0. Because if the first value is a 0, we're going to create a mushroom. If the first value is a 1, we're going to create a coin. Just go done. And see here it says function parameter 0 equals 0. We're going to create that mushroom. Now there's 2 more parameters we're going to send to this. The second parameter is going to be the X position of the item block. The third parameter is going to be the Y position. That way we don't need to know what item block produced this item. We just need to know where it produced that item. So let's add an action. Let's go to system and go create object. Similar to spawn, but the system's creating it rather than another sprite. The object we're going to create is the fake mushroom, not the AFIC mushroom, fake. The layer we're going to create it on is level. The X position is going to be the second value or the second parameter of our functions. And to access that is function.param1. That's the second value. The Y position is going to be param2. And that's the third parameter we're going to send it. Click done. Now to actually use this code, we have to call on it. And we're going to call on it right here under set cycle position to 0, because that's where we create it. So let's click add action. Let's call, so go function, call function, just like we did before, create item, but let's add some parameters to it. 3, the first parameter is going to be the item number, so item block dot item. Oh, I don't like that non-capital B. Second parameter is going to be item block dot X. Third parameter, item block dot Y. It's probably easier than it sounded in the beginning. So call create item, the item number, the X and the Y of the item block. It'll come down here. It's going to go, oh, yep, you want a mushroom. Create the mushroom at its X and Y position. All right. Save, run, test it out. And there you go. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Look at that. Even our item count works for mushrooms. But yeah, okay. So the obvious thing is we don't want just the fake mushroom popping up and down and going forever. But before we fix that up, let's add in the coin code. Let's check. So, sorry. Sub event for event 6. Function. Compare parameter. We want to check if the first value is 1. If it is, we're going to create a coin. So go system, create. What's the item we want to create? It's a fake coin. Layer is level. Whoops. X is function.param1. Y is function.param2. So the same thing we did for mushroom, we're just simply changing the item we're creating. And then because it's a coin, let's add 1 to the coin count. So we're going to go system, add 2 for the global variables, coins, 1. So show a fake coin, give them a coin. So if we run this, well, let's quickly change. Let's go to the level. Change this guy to a coin, not 10, 1. So he's now set to 1, so he should be a coin. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I just want to stand there and headbutt him all day. I love it. Anyway, so what we need to do now is track whether or not those items are going high enough and then delete them when they've sort of done their dues. So I'm going to create a new group down the bottom. Sorry if I've gone too quick with this. Please make sure you control the speed of the video to what you need. I'm going to call it fake items. All right. We're going to go sub event, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check every single fake mushroom on the level, because we might have more than one, just for example's sake. So system, okay, for each, and we want to check for each fake mushroom. So this code is going to apply for every single mushroom. Now the reason we don't just check fake mushroom is because if you start checking just the fake mushroom object, you're going to check every single mushroom in the game. Creates, so second condition, press C on it. We're going to go to system again, and we're going to go compare two values. We need to check where the mushroom is up to. Fake mushroom dot sign dot cycle position is greater than or equal to 0.25. Remember I said 25 will be at the peak of the thing. If the mushroom is at the peak, we're going to destroy it. So fake mushroom destroy. But before we destroy it, I'm an idiot, we need to create a real mushroom. So we're going to go fake mushroom is going to spawn an actual mushroom. No, not another fake mushroom. An actual mushroom. The layer will be items. Image point 0 is perfect because it's going to appear right in the middle of him. And before we test it, let's create the coin one as well. System for each fake coin. Okay, copy and paste that bad boy there. Okay, it's similar, very similar code. Instead of fake mushroom, fake coin. Instead of 0.25, we're going to go 0.5 so the coin can go up and then... Oh no, it doesn't come back down, does it? 0.25, I'm an idiot. What are we going to do? We're just going to destroy it. Okay, lots of quick code there. Sorry, everybody. That's it for the moment. Let's test it out. Ching, ching, ching. And the important one, let's test the mushroom. Bloop. 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 And there we go. That's it, everybody. That's our item block 100% complete. I'm sorry this video actually went on a little bit longer than I hoped it would, but I'm just going to be a quick idiot before I finish up the video. I'm going to create 15 mushrooms for the sake of it. Bloop, 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 bloop. Why? Because I can. Anyway, that's it for today, everybody. In the next video, we're going to create a breakable block, and we're going to take a little bit longer to do all that kind of stuff. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ta for now.